Boom! Daniel the Miracle Man Jacobs is Creed. Fight Doctor, what do you mean that Daniel Jacobs, the Miracle Man, is Creed? When I say that Daniel Jacobs is Creed, I don't mean he's Michael B. Jordan. Because Creed is Carl Weathers. Even though Michael B. Jordan will be known as Creed from now through eternity, because the millennials have found the epic series and franchise of Rocky. How do I equate Daniel Jacobs, Daniel the Miracle Man Jacobs, to Apollo Creed, or Creed for the millennials? How do I do this? Well, excuse my vernacular, but this is something that I do because I understand that people want to be able to create and connect the affiliations between a movie franchise and real life in the sport of boxing. Listen to me. Daniel the Miracle Man Jacobs is a kindred spirit. We all are identified by the species that we are born as. So it does matter who your mother and your fathers are. Your father could have been a lion. Your mother could have been a chimpanzee. You're going to be an absolute beast. That is the kind of parent combination that makes Ray Lewis. Those genes give you that quality and that ability and that thing that absolutely has no name. Daniel Jacobs is a kindred spirit. Nothing that comes in front of this man, or the same with Creed, will stop this train. Why is that? Because we're forthcoming with our journey on this planet. And no matter what you are some form of species other than a human being. When they say the word human being is a multitude of layers in human physiology. So that's why you have the subtle being, the soft-spoken. They're usually guys that are engineers and behind the techie boards. And then you have gorillas and killers. They're usually in the NFL. They're usually on the fight game. They're usually in the UFC. They fight in Roman Colosseums. Daniel Jacobs overcame, and it doesn't even matter that it was cancer and life-threatening situation. Lost everything, nearly. But the fighting spirit within this guy gives him that intestinal fortitude to conquer all things. But in the movie Creed, which opened the day before Thanksgiving, really, but the day of Thanksgiving, the numbers, $11.7 million one day. It surpassed everything that had opened on that day prior. All the way back to 1989, Back to the Future 2. Which now made the sequel, which just opened past 3 weeks ago. This is amazing. These are alignments of the stars. Why is Daniel Jacobs such a unique character? Well, this post isn't just about Daniel Jacobs. This post is about Creed. No, I'm joking. The key thing is understanding why the fight between Daniel Jacobs and Peter Kid Chocolate Quillin is going to be so much more than what people think it's going to be. You think you're going to get a clash, but you're going to see something special that night. And on Thursday night, I'm going to give you the prediction of that fight. But my analogy was comparing the two together. Creed overcame. He was the type of an individual that he was astute. Why? Because his father was a polished athlete, was accredited. It's known 4 generations later, and it wasn't even a real fighter. That's how thorough Creed was. Have you taken a look at the way that dude looked back in 1977, 78? He looks better than the guys are looking today, and they are on all kinds of stuff. The thing about Creed is he was a special breed. Something unique about that movie is back in the day, they wanted a real boxer. So Creed, Apollo Creed, Carl Weathers may have you, lied and said he was a boxer, but he had never boxed a day in his life. All he had done was gathered a bunch of Ali tapes and started mimicking Ali. That's why his style mimicked Ali inside of that ring whenever he fought Rocky Balboa, the Italian stallion. Let me tell you, Peter Kid Chocolate is no Italian stallion, but one thing he is, he's a Cuban lover in that ring, and he's nice with them things. He's one of the most polished boxers, and he's the most underrated still, especially at the middleweight division, because he's one of the guys that when you put a guy in the ring with him that has a menacing style, he can tame it. I saw him live do the thing with Andy Lee. Andy Lee is a little less polished but a lot more awkward than people think, so it's a much tougher fight. But when you get in the ring with a guy who's a smasher, Kid Chocolate, from Gabriel Rosada to just the way he handles his handset, and one of my fighters had worked with him before as well. I won't give out names because I'm not going to call names out, but he knew that Kid Chocolate, he said he's a solid puncher. And at that time, I knew he was quick. I didn't realize how solid of a puncher he was, but this kid has been in the ring with everybody. Shane Mosley, Antonio Margarita. I've had some thorough fighters. For him to give up credit, because he doesn't give up credit really good, I'm going to say one thing he gave credit for, and he said Shane Mosley was the strongest welterweight he'd ever been in the ring with. But to give a guy like Shane Mosley credit, that's no big ha-ha. When you look at a guy like, and he also told me that Berto was going to be a bum. Not a bum, but not as good as they had him going. This is when Berto was undefeated. And they had him thinking, oh, Berto's going to be that killer. And he was like, nah, I done been in the ring with him. He's definitely not that guy. But he can definitely fight, but he's no pure boxer. And we've come to find that out, especially back in September, whenever it was. Taking it back, Kid Chocolate can put his punches together well. The knock on my man Kid Chocolate is he doesn't go to the body enough. He has to have the confidence and the wherewithal to go down to the body, because those knockdowns that he gets most of the time would eventually become knockouts. Because whenever you're breaking the body down, you're taking out stones one at a time. Good crispy shots, good crisp puncher. He's a nice, thoroughbred. And one thing about Kid Chocolate, he's coming to fight. Daniel Jacobs, in all light of lights, Kid Chocolate is his ceiling. He's the pinnacle for him. And he wants him bad. And Daniel Jacobs, like I said, he's Apollo Creed. Or as the millennials will say right now, he is Creed. He will go in there against Kid Chocolate, and he will leave it in the ring. The reason why I'm going to save the prediction for tomorrow, because I want you guys to share the post, because like last week and the week prior, when you drop your comments in and you see what you've said on the record, you can equate that to what you really understand about the sport of boxing when you got a body of work. Like I got a body of work of 3 years on YouTube, or 4. All of those predictions, all of those breakdowns, they're all consistent and concise all the way down. So when you match this fight up, Kid Chocolate, speed, agility, power. He got the snapping power. You got to understand the different layers of power. Their force, speed, velocity, and density. These are the layers of power on a kind of like a elementary scale. I really can break it down further than that. You can learn that out there on the site. But another key thing that you want to take with you is the way that Daniel Jacobs has a lot of quality layers too. The difference is he struggles with weight. He has to manage his meals. He has to manage that life prior to that fight time. He has to become more of a pugilist in the dining room. That's why I wrote a book for my fighters and people that want to be in camps and feel and live the rhythm of a fighter. It's the nutrition plan for the fight game. And you can't just wait till it's training camp and start these things up. That's why you got to live kind of like a fighter outside of the training camp, because you never know how long it's going to be before you fight. Daniel Jacobs is Creed. He overcomes. You look at Peter Quillin. He is a thoroughbred. He's coming. Daniel Jacobs is not his ceiling. He wants to look through Daniel Jacobs. That could be a mistake. I will break this all the way down for you cats. Round by round for you cats. Because all I can do right now is thank you guys for watching. Because you are watching Master Boxing. And this is where you get your masters in boxing. Creed versus Quillin. Come in, get your popcorn. The prediction is going down tomorrow. Breakdown. And on the weigh-in, the night of the weigh-in, we're going to chime in once again. So make sure you got your comments ready, because we're going to kick this thing off steady. The fight is Saturday night. Brooklyn, BK in the building. I want to send a shout out to my boys over in BrooklynFights.com. You got two thoroughbreds in the building.